Penny Guggenheim.
Here.
Linda Barnhart.
Present.
Eric Goff.
Here.
Shannon Norton.
Present.
Tim Lewis.
Present.
Daniel Gant.
Here.
Michael Bush.
Here.
Ronald Short.
Okay, so the first item tonight is election of this year's planning commission.
Motion to nominate Linda Barnhart.
Second.
All right, so we have a motion, we have a second. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Linda will be our president for 2024.
Do you accept? I guess. I guess that shows a vote of confidence. I guess that shows a vote of confidence.
Second item tonight is the election of the vice president.
Do you want to maintain?
I'll make the motion. Kana, the vice president.
Thank you, but I decline.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Motion Tim Lewis, Vice President, please.
Second.
Seconded by Eric. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Tim will be vice president for 2024.
Thank you, Tim.
Thank you, guys.
Congratulations. Thank you.
No trips.
No trips.
Thank both you all for accepting that.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. Thank you for your confidence in us. Okay, we'll move along with item number 3, and that is approval of the agenda. That's been sent to you. You've had an opportunity to look at it. No changes. So, a motion by Mr. Goff to approve.
Second.
Second by Mr. Gant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any questions? Opposed? Motion carries. We got G, Goff, Guggenauer, and Gant. Confuses me sometimes. The next thing is under the open governmental process. Is there anyone who spoke, wishes to speak regarding something that is not on the agenda tonight? Let the record show that there's no one to speak under this open governmental process. Okay, approval of the meeting minutes. Again, those have been sent to you. You've had an opportunity to review them.
Madam President, just 2 updates. I've worked with staff and corrections have been made, but just clarifying in some of my remarks that a developer may or may not have been following the letter of the law. It's not my job to make a legal determination, so that's been softened a bit. And second, I opposed the motion to advance the Fairway Farms sketch plat, so just ask that that be reflected accordingly.
Okay. I have 2 corrections to the meeting minutes. And they've already been taken care of, Sarah?
Yes, there's one showing.
No, not in this batch. Okay, all right. Do you want to make a motion to approve based on this correction?
So moved.
Okay. A motion, Mr. Bush, to accept the meeting minutes as corrected. Need a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Goff.
Abstain due to absence.
Okay, let the record show that Mr. Gann is abstaining due to absence.
I abstain as well due to absence.
And Ms. Norton as well. Okay, those who are here in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, motion passes. The first public hearing we have is Villas at Warm Springs.
Yes, this is a public hearing for request for final plat approval. The project is Villas at Warm Springs, lots 1 through 15. The file is 2310-333. The developer is Panhandle Homes and the engineer is Fox and Associates. It's located in the Apecan District, map 10C, parcel 59.1, 60.3, 60.4, 60.5, 60.6, 60.7, 60.8, 60.9, 61, 61.1, 61.2, and 61.3. The project's located on the east side of Warm Springs Avenue, approximately 900 feet north of Plaza Court. The developer is proposing 14 duplex lots and 1 single-family detached lot on approximately 3.3 acres to be served by public water and sewer. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat approval. A surety for $382,809.60 was collected with the grading permit, so the land disturbance and site improvements are currently bonded.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent the project?
Yes, good evening. Steve Sianovich with Fox and Associates, representing the applicant.
Thank you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, this is a public hearing. It's your opportunity to make your questions or comments known regarding this project. If you please come forward, state your name and your address and any comments you might have regarding this project.
There is no one. I'm going to close public hearing.
Let the record show that there is no one to speak regarding the project. I have a motion from Mr. Goff, a second from Mr. Gokenhour to close public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Any questions? Public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
Hearing no question, ma'am, make a motion, we accept staff recommendation for final plat approval.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Gokenhour, second from Mr. Gant to accept staff recommendation, and that is to grant final plat approval, pending surety in the amount of $382,000.
Excuse me, I believe the surety was already posted as a part of the grading permit.
Yes, it is. You're right. I was trying to get it again.
I'll let Ellen know, but
Yeah, okay, all right.
you probably won't be happy about that.
Good try. Okay, have a motion. It's been seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Are there any questions? The motion passed.
Thank you.
Thank you.
The second public hearing tonight is a request for waiver. The project is Falling Waters Industrial Center, Lot 6D, file 2311-380. The developer's Rental Properties, Inc., and the engineer's Fox and Associates. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 14, parcel 11.16. The project's located at the end of Lansdale Court, east of Langston Boulevard in the Falling Waters Industrial Center. The developer's proposing a 30,000 square foot warehouse with a 2-story section which will consist of a 5,000 square foot showroom and 5,000 square foot office. The total site is 3.35 acres and will be served by public water and sewer. The developer is requesting a waiver to section 801 of the subdivision ordinance requiring 44 parking spaces for the proposed uses. The developer wishes to reduce the parking from 44 spaces to 32 spaces. The retail showroom area requires 18 spaces and the office requires 25 spaces, and the warehouse requires 1 space. The required number of parking spaces does not include the future 10,304 square foot warehouse expansion as shown on the sketch plan. The sketch plan also does not show the 2 required 36 by 15 loading spaces or 12 by 45 truck parking spaces. The applicant is not using a shared parking model or ITE trip generation to justify the reduction, so based on the information we currently have, staff recommends denial of the waiver to section 801 of the subdivision ordinance.
Okay. Mr. Sianovich, you're up.
Yes, Steve Sianovich representing the project. And Linda, if you'd be kind enough, I'd like to make a couple of statements
Sure.
before you hear other testimony on this.
Okay.
First of all, I'm filling in for somebody down here this evening that couldn't make it. So when I saw the staff report on Thursday, knowing that I had to represent the project tonight, I certainly didn't want. I wanted to prepare when I saw the denial that was recommended by staff. So I dug into it pretty deeply on Thursday and Friday, and a couple statements I want to make. There was a math error that was done on our original submittal. If you were to look at one of the documents that was attached, it was a plan view, and maybe the scale you have is difficult to read, but the math was 5,016 divided by 300 equals 25. Doesn't equal 25, it equals 17. So right off the bat, the 44 spaces that were cited as far as being required as a part of this project was an error. That should have been reported as 36 spaces due to the math error that was made in our computation. Also wanted to share some other additional information that I felt would be appropriate to bring up tonight. And quite honestly, I emailed staff this morning, so they had very minimal opportunity to look at the additional information. I wanted to explain that this project proposes a retail appliance store, showroom, and warehouse or storage area. And it's, I'm unfortunately can't name the name of the business right now, but they do have a presence in Hagerstown, Chambersburg, and Winchester, selling appliances. And the appliances they typically sell at this business include, your washer, dryers, cooktops, refrigerators, ranges, dishwashers, that type of stuff. The showroom facility is about 5,000 square feet. I believe we reported 5,016 square feet. Generally speaking, it's 5,000 square feet. They have an office area of also close to 5,000, just a hair over 5,000 square feet, that will support, the sales portion of this, or the ordering portion. Now, the warehouse is rather large. We use the term warehouse because we really weren't sure what else to call it. The purpose of that warehouse being such a large footprint compared to the retail space and the office space is this particular project owner, again, has facilities in Hagerstown, Chambersburg, retail stores in Chambersburg, Hagerstown, and Winchester. Some of these manufacturers, like General Electric, Samsung, etc., they'll offer deals that, such and such, you buy 100 refrigerators, we're going to give you a better deal that you could potentially pass along to your customers. And that's just really one example. So they're looking at this 30,000 square foot space to be able to take advantage of that situation when your GEs or your Samsungs or whoever offer such almost like a case quantity deal. I know that doesn't really apply to a refrigerator, but that's the point I'm trying to make. As I got into this Thursday and Friday of last week, I did reach out to the project owner, and this will be a fee simple acquisition of the property, meaning that the operator of this is going to be the owner. It's not going to be a lease like many of the rental properties jobs that we do, where rental properties owns the building, owns the land, and leases it to ABC company. This is going to be an outright purchase by this firm that unfortunately I can't name right now. I did reach out to the owner of the business and asked him to give me a little bit more information about staffing here so I could present that to you. And he's coming up with the high-end staffing projection is going to be 11 persons. And that consists of 2 staff in the retail sales area, 4 to 5 staff in the office, and then 2 to 4 staff in the warehouse. The high end of that range is 11 persons. When we look at the parking required for the office, even though we made a mistake when we reported 25, it's actually 17. The footprint of the office alone requires 17 spaces per the county's Article 8 parking article. My point is that we're looking at a high end of 11 employees. 2 of those 11 are going to be in the retail sales area, and 2 to 4 of those 11 are going to be in the warehouse, taking orders, moving material around, whatever else you would do in the warehouse. So my point is 11 total employees are expected at this business. The other thing I wanted to mention, that this particular project owner does offer appliance repair services where this business would come to your home to fix your refrigerator or fix your oven or whatever the case may be. So the question was asked to me, well, where do these service vans park? Because that would theoretically enter into the discussion here. It was explained to me by the owner that these service guys, service people, take the vans home with them at night. They have an iPad where it tells them that 8:30 tomorrow morning they're to be at Linda's house to fix her dishwasher. So they don't report back in their personal car, have to park their personal car at the office, so to speak, jump in their van, go out and do their business day, come back and park their service truck jump in their personal car, and go back home. My point is that even though we have service, those guys are on the road, typically don't report to the office unless they have to come back and pick up a part for Linda's dishwasher, as an example. Staff also made a comment about our failure to show required loading areas. And there's an exhibit I'd like to pass out. And in defense of staff, we just made this on a Friday. So it was not part of the original submittal that was made to the Planning Commission or to the Planning Office to allow us to be here this evening. May I pass this out?
Sure.
Thank you.
I'd like to speak just very briefly about this exhibit. The comment made by staff talked about loading and then other parking areas for deliveries and so forth. This building actually is proposing 9 dock doors. 7 of the 9 will be your low, like 30-inch, what I'll refer to as a UPS or like Amazon type of truck dock. So it's not your standard 48-inch that would accept a 53-foot trailer. The 2 longer spaces I have shown in front of the building are intended to be the 53-foot trailer that would come from General Electric that's full of refrigerators or whatever it might be. Typically, those trailers don't stay in the loading dock area like you see at Amazon. You know, you drive by Amazon, that trailer could be there for quite a while till it's packed in a fashion that when it makes the 5 stops, it's packed, you know, the first stop is the last to be loaded, the last stop is the first to be loaded type of thing. So the reason I felt this exhibit was important to show that we do provide parking and loading areas for a 53-foot over-the-road trailer. And also additional dock doors that should you as a consumer decide to pick up your own refrigerator, you have, as I have done in the past, I go to this business, back up to their low dock, and they put it in a truck and I go on my way. So first of all, Linda, thank you for letting me make those remarks. I don't think I have anything further, but I wanted to clarify the additional information that was provided with not a whole lot of time before this meeting to staff, and I'm sure they haven't had an opportunity to review it. But I guess in summation, the waiver should have read, we need 36 spaces. We're proposing 32 spaces. And I wanted to also just reiterate the 11 staff members on the high end that are proposed in the retail, the office, and the warehouse area. Thank you.
Okay, this is a public hearing for this project. If you have questions or comments, please come forward and give us your comments.
There is no one, I'll move to close public hearing.
Let the record show that there is no one to speak from the public. Motion by Mr. Goff. Second by Mr. Gokenhour. Did you say second by Mr. Gokenhour? To close the public hearing? All those in favor?
Aye.
Are there any questions? Opposed? Public hearing is now closed. Now, Planning Commission members, how about you? Do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff with the recent presentation of the parking and the employee headcount?
I mean, with the new information, does any of this change?
Here's where we were this afternoon. I ran some quick numbers from ITE out of the parking generation. For the retail office, or for the office space, That's a pretty general number. ITE, we arrived at 17 spaces, and that pretty much concurs with the 18 that you have here. As far as the retail side of the equation, out of ITE, you know, I ran that number. You're at 20 spaces. So now for the retail plus the office area, you need 40 spaces. That's where we are. How many people are in the warehouse? I'm getting 2 to 4. If you go back to our parking standards, it's 1 per 2 employees on the largest shift. That's how we do a warehouse. So that's 2 spaces. So now you're at 42. So that's the required number, is what I'm saying. And so we're kind of looking at it as, you know, where can we find those spaces on the site? What can we do smarter? I do see there are issues with the site plan on there that there's going to have to, I mean, we're going to have to be creative with fire access around the building, especially with the addition that they propose.
What about that future warehouse expansion area?
Yeah, that's going to
Are there
be
any
an issue
opportunities
because
there?
you're not going to be able to get, if you have to drag a fire lane partially back there, you can see that's tight. Now, if the building's sprinklered, I don't know what the dimensions are there. I can't really read them on here.
It's over 30,000 square feet of warehouse space.
Right, but what's the length of the perimeter, width and length? You see what I'm getting at? Because if it's sprinklered, you know, I think it's 600 feet. I don't recall off the top of my head.
30,000 square foot is going to be required to be sprinkled.
I would think so. So they're still going to have to get access to the rear of that building because more than likely there's going to be a personnel door back there for escape in that situation.
I would tend to agree with it. Obviously, the architect conducts the life safety code.
Right, that's what I'm just looking ahead here to say, I don't want to make you do something now and then we're all back in a corner again.
There's a lot of things up in the air because the sketch hasn't been submitted, so we
Right.
haven't had a chance to actually review the site plan and take other things into consideration, which is why it's hard for us to say, yeah, 32 parking spaces would be perfect, because we haven't actually looked at the site plan yet.
Why is it on public hearing if you haven't had a chance to look at
Because
it?
they submitted the waiver, not the sketch plan.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Mr. Stoyanovich, just because I'm curious about this, why is the applicant going the route of reducing the parking requirements instead of maybe looking at a way to expand your potential parking area, like a waiver on setbacks? Maybe that's not a possibility. I'm not advocating that by any means.
That's
but
actually a good question. But
why this?
The reason how I'd like to answer that is on the exhibit that I passed out, the 11 by 17, we have some contours ghosted in there. There's also a residential use to the east here. So we were trying to observe the residential setback buffer to this type of use. So had we pushed that, and really to your point, if we push the building, you know, when you look at uses like this, a lot of people have a depth of the building where I can't make the building 15 feet wide and 2,000 feet long. There's usually a length to width ratio they like to maintain for the inner workings of a warehouse type of thing. I guess to answer your question, the topography of the site is such that as you get further east towards Route 11, those dwellings that are on Route 11 kind of sit up in elevation compared to where this cul-de-sac is right now. So we had to be sensitive to the topographic concerns, and we really didn't want to pursue a retaining wall in order to get closer to those properties. We want to come up with or utilize a planted buffer and not ask for any relief from
I
setback
appreciate that.
or buffering from residential uses.
Thank you.
I'd also like to add that given the comments that I made earlier in this presentation, the future warehouse expansion, that's simply going to, should that occur, it's just to be able to store more product, not necessarily increase the employee load within the warehouse facility. So that 2 to 4 employees in the warehouse, 4 being the high end, 4 is the high end inclusive of this potential expansion, should the expansion ever move forward.
Is there a way to add?
Can you walk up here for a second, Doug?
Something out there, see if you see a problem. Could we add 2-3 spaces here? Yeah, this one here. Where I was gonna go next. Yeah, I mean, they get to 3-4 spaces. Yeah, you're down here.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple.
I
Addition,
mean, have y'all looked at doing a parking reserve?
Would you explain parking reserve?
Yeah, you showed me where you would have to put these spaces if there's parking.
Well, understood. The one area that comes to
You
mind,
would have to show it on here, and it would have to stay reserved. It's not to be used for anything.
again, citing the color exhibit that I passed out earlier, where there's the 7, what I'll call straight truck dock doors. There's an area to the east of that that's shaded in yellow. That's a concrete apron. There are no dock doors proposed at that location. There could be additional parking that would nose up to the building that we see very often in true warehouse type of establishments. You'll see no dock doors and cars just kind of nose in, employees nose into that. So I took a look at that dimension, and that's about, you can get about another 6 parking spaces in there, maybe 7. We wouldn't want to promote the retail public parking there, but that could potentially be utilized for employees. But as I mentioned earlier in this presentation, at any given time, we're not going to have any more than 11 people. And we thought the 11 people would park opposite those truck docks, which would then open up the remainder of the parking field that's in front of the entry to the building for the retail customer.
You can show parking here reserved, keep employee parking over there, knowing that at some point you restrike that public, restrike employees somewhere else, or create. You could get probably, what, 1, 2, 3, at least 4 spaces over there now when you have your 11 space. Correct?
I think so.
Oh, we can easily do that, but then I guess the question, just to be clear, or if I can ask this question, we admitted to the math error in the presentation of the initial application. So I guess if I could direct this to staff, and maybe staff didn't have a chance to look at it, but after correcting our math error, we're saying that this facility requires 36 parking spaces, not 44 parking spaces, as was originally reported in our application, which was due to the math error. If that's the case, and 36 is the amount that staff agrees is required, we have 32 provided, we can do one of 2 things. We can show parking where there aren't the dock doors here to get us to the 36, or we can add some spaces here, and that may be tough to see at this distance. Can add some spaces here, but that starts to get into the bank, or where the elevation changes, that most likely we'd have to put a retaining wall in there to kind of retain that earth to be able to do head-in parking into it. So if 36 is going to be observed as the required number, we have 32, we can very easily show the addition of at least 4 spaces here. But I would definitely mark those as employee parking, because we don't like to commingle the retail customer in an area where trucks are pulling out and trucks are backing in. I don't have a problem designating it for employees, but retail customers I'd have a little concern with.
Are there any vehicles that are going to sit there overnight?
There could be 1 or 2, the straight truck delivery vans, the ones that bring the dishwasher to your house.
Yeah.
The small service vans, those go home with the guys.
Covered by a dock. So,
This business that has presence in Hagerstown, they actually have, I think, 2 or 3 of these smaller straight trucks that they deliver to your house. And when I drive by after hours, they are backed up into the dock door.
So what we're looking at is, you're close, we checked to see where we were with ITE, their parking generation. Biggest issue we had, I think, was we see where the error was made in the map. I mean, per our parking standards, the retail is 18 spaces, even though ITE may say it's a little higher. We're agreeing with that. I think our biggest issue was with how many people are really working in the warehouse. I mean, you say 2 to 4, so that's 2 more spaces. So whatever that adds up to, I mean, if you could close that gap, that's great. I don't want to speak for planning, but I mean, where I would go with it is if you could show me the other spaces in reserve somewheres where if there's a parking problem and it comes to pass, and we say, there's a problem, fix it. Who's going to fix it? And it's already laid out for him to fix it. He doesn't have to hire another engineer. All he's got to do is go in and manage the campaign.
My response to that would be we would put additional spaces on the concrete, what I'll call concrete dock pad, where employees would be designated to park there. And again, by our computations, revised computations, we need 36. This plan at present provides 32. If this planning commission is going to determine through staff's recommendation that 36 is the number that would be required based on Article 8 of your ordinance, then I would make the comment that we would revise or include at sketch plan either striped spaces here or, to Doug's point, potential parking reserve area for employee use only or something along those lines. I'm not going to get into with the semantics of what we call it, but we would very easily be able to designate an area there to achieve the 4 additional parking spaces that the plan is currently deficient of.
I mean, I don't have a scale with me, but I can potentially see six to 8 parking spaces here.
I think 6 is fair, Daniel, but
And, I mean,
There's 4 down there at the bottom.
that's what yeah.
I'm almost, but if it's a problem, to put it in, and it's that big a deal, I'll let you show it as reserved down there. But that's the planning commission decision. I'm trying to find somewhere where there's ground between.
Would you agree to go ahead and strike out those 6 spaces on that concrete area and designate that for employee?
as a part of our sketch plan, and I would share for what it's worth, and this may be a weak parallel, but at my dentist office, they park nose to tail, staff does,
Right.
in a kind of a condition like this. I'm just sharing it happens.
Yeah. I think if you had 6 here and and like we was talking, me and Doug, I think you could get some in here. You might, if you needed them in the future, you might have to put a little piece of retaining wall there. I don't think it'd be a lot, but you could probably get 1 more here and probably 2 more or so over here too.
But again, I'd be looking for guidance from the planning commission as far as, is 36 the number, which is per your Article 8.
Well, you got 18, 17 plus 2, that's 37.
That's the number I come up with. 37 is what when you were spitting the numbers out.
That's what because I'm kind of saying that there's probably more than 2 employees in the warehouse.
Okay, so that's 5 more spaces. So if you can stripe off 6 more spaces here, I think we're covered, right?
Yeah, we're done. There is no way.
Why don't you just do that and we'll call it a day?
But if you don't want to do that, and you want to show it in reserve, I'm fine.
I don't see why we,
I can't speak for planning commission now. I'm trying to find a working solution.
I don't see why we couldn't, at sketch plan, add 6 additional spaces adjacent to the truck dock and label it employee parking only. If the planning commission feels that would be a suitable
I'd
alternative.
be happy with that. I think that's a good compromise, but I would also like for you to show that reserve area, whatever you want to call it, just so it's on it and it's documented.
Okay, well, what we have here now is a motion, or not a motion, but a suggestion from the staff for a denial. Should we just go ahead and accept the staff's recommendation and deny it tonight, and then let them come back with, excuse me, with a better plan?
We do it on your sketch as long as we agree.
Well, that's what I'm asking the commission, if they want to do that. Do you want to?
Madam President, would be appropriate to table the matter and bound it over until next meeting to provide the applicant an opportunity to redraw what's been presented consistent with comments this evening,
Well,
so that we're
That's typically what we would do, but the motion here is to deny, so if we want another motion, we'll have to word another motion with
Would it be simpler just to bring it back sketch plan with it already?
well, that's what I'm asking. What do you want to do with it? Do you want to just deny it?
Instead of having two meetings, you'll have
I
one.
mean, I'm going to do whatever action the planning commission takes, and I'm not going to.
If the agreement is tonight that 36 or 37 parking spaces, whether that be 4 or 5 overflow, be provided, if they're still shown on the sketch, then it's compliant with our parking regs.
That's my point. I would
So
just add.
then,
I would just
there's no
let them do
need
it
for
on
a
the
waiver,
sketch.
there's no need for this, you guys will just see it as something that's compliant with the ordinance when the sketch
So
comes
do
back.
we deny then tonight?
Yeah, I would just do that and bring it back with those marked
Tonight,
spaces.
that's the agreement, is bring it back to sketch showing us. However, you got two options.
There's no reason
got
to
you.
come back to
Okay.
it.
I've got a motion to accept
Okay.
staff recommendation and deny the project, deny the waiver.
I'll
I
second
have
that.
one question, if I could please, for Mr. Stjanovich. We're talking about a hypothetical number of 37 parking spaces as being potentially sufficient for a building of 30,082 square feet. I don't know that we've had any discussion about a 10,304 square foot expansion
No.
that would be covered under the same 37 parking spaces. And it seems like we're looking at a building here that's 30,000 plus another 10,000 to be served by 37 parking spaces. So I'm hesitant to lead you down this path of going to sketch plan for 37 spots without a discussion of the 10,000 square foot expansion.
I understand, that's a valid question. I'd respond to that with the number of parking spaces for a warehouse is based on the employee load. And as I stated in my testimony, the maximum employee load for the warehouse is four persons. And per, the Berkeley County Article 8 requirements, 1 space per 2 people in a warehouse type of environment. And I'm simply reporting to this commission what the owner of this business reported to me on Friday. And I have no reason to believe that he gave me information that allowed him to back into a number.
Yeah, I'm set. I mean, it seemed clearly noted as warehouse. I just wanted to make sure we're all talking about the same building here, so I'm ready to go.
If they put the notes on the sketch plan
Yep.
like that.
Yep.
And justify it. I mean, we get these numbers all the time.
Yep.
If they do start shared parking, table could probably reduce a little bit as well, but
Okay.
That's a good point, Laura, but as far as, if we had a business that was say an early morning type of use in the same building, then I'd pursue the shared parking, but this is retail,
same time.
Everything
7:30,
shuts down, the city shuts.
there's nothing to share. The point I wanted to make was the employee load versus the Article 8 requirement for office was much greater requirement per your Article 8 than the total employee load that we're proposing by this facility.
But under ITE, 1 space per 2 warehouse employees is nearly dead on. That number hasn't changed in the last couple of editions of the parking generation data. So, I have no reason. You gotta remember, ITE, we're not talking about peak parking. ITE is 85th percentile. We don't wanna see a sea of parking unused, but we know that there's gonna be times when it's gonna be bad. So we try to hit that 85% percentile, that means that parking area is sufficient.
I'd also add the ITE requirement that Doug's citing, meaning one space per two persons, is consistent with your Article 8 definition of warehouse use.
I would just, like I say, put as many as you can put in there and bring it back on the sketch plan. I think it'd be fine.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Gokenhour to accept staff recommendation. There's been questions. I need a second to the motion, or another motion.
I'll second it.
Okay, second, Mr. Gant. We've had questions. Any additional questions? Okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The motion passed.
Thank you.
Okay, the next public hearing is Nestle Junction.
This is a public hearing for a request for sketch plan advancement. The project is Nestle Junction Section 2, file 2307-232. The developer is Stewart Properties LLC and the surveyor is Site Planning, Design, and Survey. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 6, parcel 6.1, and is located on the north side of Grade Road, approximately 350 feet east of its intersection with Kitchens Orchard Road. The developer is proposing 4 single-family residential lots on 11.27 acres to be served by public water and private septic. No waivers or exceptions have been requested. On December 8th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The sketch plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends advancement of the sketch plan to the preliminary plan stage.
Okay, do we have anyone to represent Nestle Junction?
Dan Llewellyn representing the project.
Thank you. This is a public hearing. Your opportunity to make your questions or comments known at this time. Yes, please.
I guess my question is, this is news to me.
Just come forward, please, and so that we can get you on the microphone. Give us your
My
name.
name's Victor Hoffman. I
Okay.
live at 198 Antioch Lane, Falling Waters. That's Potomac Heights. I've been here before with this project, other projects for the stormwater management problems in our zone over there. My question is, this says this property was looked to be developed back in 2018 in August. I was here along with about 40 other people. I don't know if the land has changed hands since then. And this section 2, can you tell me where this 11 acres is? Because I understand this whole piece of land is about 121 acres from south to north going towards Potomac River. So I guess first off, back then it was like 120 some townhomes they wanted to build. And there was some preliminary work for stormwater management that this council was going to look into before any more decisions were made on this land development. Because it's really big karst topography in there. There's no stormwater management along our roads. There's no defined ditches. And there's no conveyance mechanisms for any water on Grade Road. So my question is, where is this land that the 4 houses are looking to be built?
Besides Sparrow Lane, there's only 11 some change acres left because the majority of it was merged into adjacent property.
Do you know who merged it, who bought it?
Who bought what?
I was told Hafers bought the property.
I believe that's
Acres.
who purchased the residue parcel and merged it into their adjacent parcel.
Okay, so this the 11 acres, where is
11
it?
acres is what's left, what was previously Nestle Junction.
Is it the front half of the
Yes.
property?
It's the front. Let me see if I can.
You wanna see
how long-
this?
Yes, sir.
Can't see how long it is, but it goes along in Sparrow Lane and it's probably 200 feet wide, if not more, at the front.
Along the Sparrow Lane, I own 3 different properties down a Sparrow Lane.
Yeah, it's
Along
up
there
at
used to
the
be just a right of way is all that there was.
beginning- It's up at the beginning of Sparrow Lane.
All right, let me hear this kitchen. All right, as far as stormwater management goes, is there any plans to actually take that water anywhere? Because there's really nowhere for it to go, except down onto a Sparrow Lane.
There's a stormwater basin shown on that one. front of me now, so I can't speak. I gave it to you.
Talk about this basin right here.
There's a stormwater basin there. There's a stormwater basin there. This water will travel off this road in this basin, and then this water will travel in this basin.
Where's the overflow gonna go? Because along here, there's no defined ditch line, no way to convey any water down that road.
Just the sketch, so we haven't seen.
Looks like the
Engineered
water
design,
flows
yeah.
out to the county ditch lines. The county road don't have a ditch, then the county, I need that back with you.
Well, I've been putting Amberfield subdivision, they've got defective stormwater management. Every system in that property is defective. There's even violations against them that are not even enforced by MS4 or anybody in the state. So my point is, there's a lot of stormwater problems in this area. Violations and no enforcement mechanisms in place. My concern going forward, before there's any more development, I would hope that since the county's immune from any liability for bad decision-making, what's the guarantee that we're not gonna have more stormwater management problems on our road? Right now, there's over 1 million fines in Amberfield for a stormwater management pond, over $1 million in fines. And MS4 and DEP of this state is not enforcing it. I brought this up time and time again. So you have a stormwater management program, you even can give out fines, but nothing's ever collected and never enforced. So these are my problems I have. I've been here 30 years dealing with this, 30 years.
It's just a sketch layout, so
The
we don't know.
discharge that they're showing for the sketch plan shows that it's gonna get, it's just a sketch at this point, there aren't final designs. They do show that they are going to do water quality and quantity control. I'm not even sure if the engineer has really even done those size calculations at this point.
It's just a
It's
sketch
just a
plan.
sketch plan.
Oh, I know.
Mr. Llewellyn, do you have any answers to this?
Receive a full stormwater management design.
Mr. Llewellyn?
Who's
And-
liable when it fails or if it fails? That's my
The
question.
engineer and the owner.
Oh, Fox and Associates again?
It's not Fox and Associates,
No?
so.
Okay.
That's what he's doing this.
Do you want to try to answer some of his questions? He seems to be a little perplexed, but not getting any answers. Excuse me?
We are doing stormwater management.
Okay.
We're required to do stormwater management. We're also doing a karst reduction because it's in karst terrain. There's only 4 lots. It was originally going to be 150 lots. We're down to 4. So 50 acres was sold to some other party. There's no plans in my knowledge that it's going to be developed. And all I can tell you is what we're going to do is 4 lots on 11 acres. It's a shared driveway. We've reduced the impervious area down to the smallest areas we can, and we're going to do stormwater management as required per the ordinance as part of the development, as part of the engineering submittal for preliminary plan.
So what kind of guarantees do we have that this is gonna all work?
Guarantees?
Sure.
You mean like if I was to buy a refrigerator and it's not
Well,
working,
no.
I guarantee it?
Like
I
water
mean,
come in your basement kind of guarantees we
This,
don't get.
this commission doesn't guarantee anything. We actually go on the suggestion of the engineer and the developer to make sure that it,
Design standards.
do you want to take over?
No.
We want to make sure that it is built in accordance to the plans that are submitted. And we can't guarantee you anything. You know, every commission has liability insurance if you feel that that's the avenue you want to take. But, you know, this is just, like we say, a sketch plan, and there will be more information that will be available at the preliminary plan stage. So I would encourage you to stay on the county's website and look to see if there's a preliminary plan presented so that you can follow along with it. And you can get your questions answered at that time by the engineer.
That's fine. I'm just trying to make sure we don't have any more flooding problems.
I
I
understand.
mean, I'm not against advancement, but I'll tell you everything that gets, all the development growth we hear, all it is just stormwater management fiascos for 30 years.
Yeah, well, we don't do the stormwater management. That's
I know who
DEP.
does it.
Okay.
I'm very aware.
You're aware, you've been dealing with them for a long time, so. Are there any other questions then regarding this project?
There are none. I move to close public hearing.
Second.
Let the record show that there's no additional comments from the public. Motion by Mr. Goff, second by Mr. Lewis to close public hearing. All those in favor? Opposed? Motion passes. The public hearing is now closed. Planning Commission members, now's your opportunity to make your questions known to Mr. Llewellyn or of the staff.
There are no questions. I'll make a recommendation. We accept staff recommendation. Sketch plan meets the ordinance of the subdivision ordinance. Therefore, recommend advance the sketch plan to preliminary plan stage.
I have a motion by Mr. Gant. Second by Mr. Goff to accept staff recommendation as to advance the project forward to the preliminary plan stage. Are there any additional questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passed. Okay, preliminary plan approval, heritage storage at Rock Cliff.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary plan approval. The project is Heritage Storage at Rockcliffe, file 2309-318. The developer is 53 LLC and the engineer is D.A. Stansberry. It's located in the Hedgesville District, tax map 38C, parcel 1, and is located at 1955 Rockcliffe Drive, approximately 0.60 miles south of its intersection with Hedgesville Road. This project proposes a self-storage facility on 1.7 acres, which is currently served by public water and sewer. At the August 21st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted a waiver to Section 801.1.10 of the subdivision ordinance requiring all driveways which provide ingress and egress to off-street parking areas to be paved. On December 20th, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The preliminary plan meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends approval of the preliminary plan.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Sir Stansberry.
Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Stansberry or the staff?
Hearing no questions, I make a motion we accept staff recommendations for approval of the preliminary plan.
Second.
I have a motion by Mr. Lewis, second by Mr. Gokenhour to accept staff recommendation, and that is to recommend, let me see, subdivision approval of the preliminary plan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Okay, the next project is preliminary final plat approval for Spring Mills, Knighttown Road lots.
Yes, this is a request for preliminary final plat approval. The project is Spring Mills, Knighttown Road lots. The file is 2307-238. The developer is Spring Mills Apartments LLC and the engineer is Fox and Associates. It's located in the Falling Waters District, tax map 16, parcel 25, and is located at the northwest corner of the intersection of TJ Jackson Drive and Knighttown Road. This project proposes the creation of 2 single-family lots on 1.17 acres to be served by public water and sewer. At the August 21st, 2023 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted a waiver to Section 305.4.1 of the subdivision ordinance requiring a 2-acre minimum lot size to proceed through the preliminary final plat process. On December 26, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The project's compliant with the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends approval of the preliminary final plat.
Thank you. Do we have anyone to represent the project?
Yes, good evening. Steve Sianovich representing the applicant.
Okay. Planning Commission members, do you have questions of Mr. Sianovich or of the staff?
Hearing no question, ma'am, I make a motion we accept staff recommendation for approval of the prelim final plat.
Second.
I have a motion from Mr. Gokenhour, second by Mr. Lewis, to accept staff recommendation as to approve the preliminary final plat for Spring Mills, Knighttown Road lots. Are there any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. last item we have is Arcata Springs North, Section 1, Phase 2. Or 11, whatever it is.
11.
11.
This is a request for final plat determination, Arcadia Springs North, Section 1, Phase 11, lots 206 through 209, 244 through 259, 290 through 292, and 315 through 324. The file is 2310-348, and the developer is Monarch Development Group, and the engineer is Gordon. It's located in the Arden District, tax map 12, parcel 29.3, and is located on Van Cleavesville Road, approximately 2,000 feet east of its intersection with Needy Road. The developer is proposing 10 single-family detached lots and 23 single-family attached lots on approximately 8 acres to be served by public water and sewer. At the July 1st, 2019 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted waivers to Section 305.4.1, Article 2, Section 201, Townhome definition, Article 5, Section 504E, Table 5.3, and Article 8, Section 801, Table 8-1A of the subdivision ordinance. At the September 16th, 2019 Planning Commission meeting, the developer was granted an exception to Section 705.1 to not install sidewalks along Van Cleavesville Road. On December 26, 2023, County Engineer Doug Smith deemed the above-mentioned project compliant with the subdivision ordinance. The final plat meets the requirements of the subdivision ordinance, therefore staff recommends final plat determination and advertising of a public hearing for consideration of final plat approval at the February 5th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Do we have anyone to represent the project?
My name is Mark McDonald. I'm with Integrity Federal Services representing Monarch.
Thank you. Anyone have questions of the applicant or of the staff?
No questions, I'll take staff recommendation. Final plat meets requirements of subdivision ordinance 2009. Making a motion to approve final plat at February 5th, 2024 Planning Commission meeting.
Have a motion by Mr. Gant, second by Mr. Goff to accept staff recommendations, and that is to hold a public hearing for final plat approval on February 5, 2024. Any questions? If not, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, staff council discussion, action, motion, anything from you? Two.
8 public hearings next meeting, so.
I'm sorry? Eight public,
Or go on vacation.
I'll be away.
Either one.
I'll be away next
Two
meeting.
pretty
Yeah.
long. So there's a few that are gonna be decent. You'll have, we're gonna have security. There's probably gonna be packed, so it's gonna be pretty busy next meeting.
Oh, I love
Oh.
that stuff.
I thought you were off potato
I'm
candy,
gonna have to have a piece probably.
and I just threw all my mashed potatoes away yesterday. I just threw all my mashed potatoes away yesterday. Well, I didn't throw them away, I gave them to my daughter. Well, maybe we can help you out. Okay, if there's nothing from anyone, motion by Mr. Goff at 6:58.
Second.
Second, Mr. Gant. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?